How does primary duty affect exempt employee status? Imagine you're at work and wondering if your role qualifies for exemption from overtime pay. The key factor often comes down to what your main job really is. That's where the idea of primary duty comes into play. It is the main responsibility that defines whether an employee is exempt or not under the Fair Labor Standards Act. This act sets rules for minimum wages and overtime pay, but not everyone is covered the same way. To be classified as exempt, your primary duty must be the core part of your job. It's not just about your job title or how much you earn. It's about what you actually do most of the time. When looking at primary duty, the focus is on the overall character of your work. If you spend more than half your time doing exempt tasks, like managing staff or making important business decisions, you might qualify. But time alone isn't enough. Even if you spend less than 50% of your time on exempt work, you could still be exempt if your main responsibility is that exempt duty. For example, a worker who spends most of their day supervising others and making decisions about hiring or firing is likely to meet the primary duty test. Several factors help decide what your primary duty really is. These include how important your exempt tasks are compared to non-exempt ones. Also, how much time you spend on each type of work matters. Your level of independence and discretion on the job is important too. If you have the authority to make decisions without constant oversight, that supports exemption. The relationship between your salary and what non-exempt workers earn is also considered. Different exemption categories have specific rules about primary duty. For example, managers who manage a department or business unit and regularly supervise at least two full-time employees are usually exempt. Administrative workers whose main role involves office or business tasks with independent judgment are also often exempt. Let's say you're an assistant manager who spends most of your time doing cashiering or stocking shelves. If your main role is managing staff or handling budgets, you might still be exempt. But if your supervision duties are minimal and you mostly do routine tasks, you probably aren't exempt. It's important to remember that meeting the primary duty test is just one part of qualifying for exemption. You also need to meet salary requirements. You must be paid a certain minimum salary and be paid on a salary basis. Only when all these parts come together can an employee be properly classified as exempt. In short, the primary duty determines whether someone is truly a manager, professional, or administrative worker. It helps ensure that only those whose main job functions are in these categories are exempt from overtime and minimum wage protections. This way, workers who mostly do routine tasks aren't misclassified, and those who genuinely manage or work in professional roles can enjoy the benefits of exemption.